everyone. My name is Mithun Prabhu. I'm an IT professional and an avid travel passionate photographer myself. And it is my pleasure on behalf of Honeycomb to welcome Ranjit Jadhav, who is a close friend of mine, as well as he is an excellent landscape photographer. So what we thought was, we will get Ranjit to speak to you all about his love for photography and share his experiences. So welcome Ranjit for this conversation.
Thank you, Mithun. Hello, everyone.
Great. So look, hope everything is okay. You're safe and sound at family, everybody.
Thanks for asking. Yes, things are getting little dull and boring due to the current situation. No travels, no outside exposure. So that's a bit troubling at times. But well, I think we are
So
in isolation, so we are
I
doing
think
well.
I think Ranjit, that's the common thing that we hear from every photographer, at least
I
that
know.
I can't travel. This was the time I wanted to go to Ladakh, to Spiti,
Exactly.
to,
Exactly. Uh,
I guess
exactly. My just for first 3 to 6 months, right? Yes, about 6 months of this year, I had 3 Himalaya trips this year, and all got cancelled. So yeah, it was just very frustrating, is what the least I could say.
right. So on lighter note, I think we should say that you are the monk who will not be able to sell you as Ferrari.
For a few more years, for sure.
Right, and for all those who are listening to this conversation, it is very important to also note, or I should probably let you know, that Ranjit is an avid trekker himself. He does some crazy treks time and again. He's more into Himalayas, and so that talks about his fitness levels as well. So I guess so, Ranjit, it will be very interesting to hear your experiences.
Sure.
For
Um, yeah, you were very kind to say I do some crazy trekking. I really don't. I just do pretty normal stuff from the trekking perspective. There are really great trekkers out there. But frankly, I mean, I used to do hiking in my earlier years, even before I started photography. So I have that love for the nature. But I started trekking particularly just that magnificent vistas that Himalayas offer, and varied landscape, right? I mean, from Kashmir to Ladakh to Annapurna mountain ranges that I have been to. I mean, it's all just brilliant. And, I always say that, heartwarming just to be there. Um, so I actually started preparing for one of the treks a couple of years back, just when I looked at a photo, and I realized that it is from the Kashmir Great Lakes. And that's how my trekking journey on the regular basis started. Because if you want to really capture landscape in its true beauty, I think you have to get out of the comfort zone and get into the remote locations and then shoot those pristine beauties, right? So it has been a great journey. Thankfully, I'm always accompanied by great close friends of mine. Thankfully, most of them are not photographers, so I don't get worried too much on the photography aspect through and through. I have absolutely a great fun just to explore the nature. And then, of course, I achieve some photography objectives also as part of that.
So I think it is a great input that you just now gave for everybody to think about, that uh, you know come out of your comfort zone and do what you
Right.
like,
Yeah.
what you love.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very great you know philosophy by itself. Wonderful, Ranjit. So, with your permission, shall we go
Sure.
ahead? With this conversation, I want to ask you some questions. So, if you're okay, shall we start?
Absolutely. I'll be happy to. Thank you.
Great.
We can.
So first question for you, Ranjit, is how did you come to love, photography? Were there any early influences that you had in your life?
Um, yes and no. So from my landscape photography perspective, I mean, I started very specifically on landscape photography for that matter, right? It is not the love of the art or creativity that actually attracted me into the photography. I had been traveling into, let's say, landscape explorations or some personal trips, hikes. Like 99%, they used to have that landscape as a theme or nature as a theme. So I did that for almost like 20 years now. And a couple of years back, when I was doing one of the grand tour of US national parks with family, there was one what we call typically as a defining moment in your life, right? Um, I witnessed one of the like memorable sunset at Monument Valley. And that was the time that, I mean, again, I used to take more of a documentary capture photos, starting from point and shoot cameras in early days. But there was no a dedicated efforts or focus on from photography perspective, right? And when I looked at that, I just realized that, I need to invest my time in learning photography to capture these magic moments as um, creatively or maybe as realistically even from that what it is happening there in the nature than just taking a simple travel shots. I mean, the nature deserves a lot more than my skills that are there at that point of time. So I must invest to actually provide much better output or outcome out of those efforts that I'm traveling for.
Right. And I think as you get into this, trekking, and you get into, doing a lot of things, you learn a lot about nature as well. So I
Oh
think
yeah, yeah,
that's a
absolutely.
common thing that we hear, that even if you are a wildlife photographer, just clicking a tiger and coming back is not important. You have
Yeah,
to work
that's true.
towards becoming a naturalist.
Correct,
You have to, if you're doing astro, then you have to understand,
correct, correct.
what is it that is creating so much of pollution, that that is hampering
That's true.
a common man to see. Just maybe 2-3 decades back, it used to be such clear skies.
That's
So
true.
similarly, is I'm sure, when you do landscape, you get to see a lot of litter being done by tourists. Those kind of stuff, which should be your, I'm sure, which is your story as well. When you click, not just
That
the beauty of nature.
That is true, and that's the unfortunate part of what I end up seeing as a landscape photographer, especially on the places that are more commonly accessible for the people, right? But even on the KGL trek that I went for along with my friends, it was unfortunate to see some litters in even remote locations. I'm sure that was done by the other fellow trekkers who also went there to enjoy nature, but then it was really hurting to see such things. So thankfully, the part of the trekking that I was, the group, we used to have that eco bags along with us, and we actually collected a lot of litter. I mean, I couldn't imagine we would have found out so much litter on the way. So we collected a lot of garbage. So thankfully, that gave little bit peace. Other occasion, I remember I had been to Andamans with my family trip, and I was trying to shoot one sunset photo at, in fact, one of the remotest place in Andamans as well. I mean, you have to really go on the other side of the island to actually be there. So again, when we were actually shooting, me and my wife saw a lot of litter there, and it was again hurting. I mean, one thing you want for most of the landscape photographers, what we want to see is the pristine beauty of the nature. And if it's not only for the photography's sake, it is the love of that nature, love for that nature, right?
Right.
That we want to capture as a photographer. So it was again another moment where I felt bit disgusted, maybe a strong word, but really disgusted to see that kind of litter there on one of the most beautiful beaches of Andamans. So we spent about hour and a half cleaning up all the filth from there and trying to put it in the dustbin than actually doing the photography.
Right.
So yeah, so I really sincerely request all fellow landscape photographers. I mean, it is not only the photography that we are trying to get out of it, it is really our expression of our love for the nature, and hence I really sincerely request to keep it to the its beauty that it has.
Right. So I think a very important message, social message for everyone. Thank you very much for sharing that, Ranjit. Next, I would want to know, so I know that you are more into landscape, photography as your genre. But are there any other genres of photography that you also practice and love?
That's a good question. As I said, right, my journey started actually as the love for the landscapes and nature than the generic photography. So I know I have not explored that much. Of course, once in a while, I practice shooting flowers for my photography skill improvements, but that's not something that I immensely enjoy per se. So it's grand vistas, mountains is what typically I shoot. but like similar to anyone following the diet, they do have cheat day. So once in a while, when I go on family trip, another thing that really attracts me is heritage photography. So I shoot, for example, been to Rajasthan recently, and Hampi last year. I enjoyed shooting the part. I mean, the part of heritage and the part of landscapes that it surrounded with. So I do that occasionally, but my 99% efforts are towards landscape photography.
Right, right. No, and I think personally that is not wrong.
Yeah, yeah,
If
absolutely.
you love
Right.
something,
Yeah.
and you want to pursue, why not? So for
Right.
example,
Right.
I do, I like travel. So
Right.
with
Right. Yes.
travel naturally comes a lot of, landscape, street, nature,
Right. 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 Right.
everything. But then I still love, especially in this lockdown period when there was no travel, in order to beat the stress and beat this thing. I think it did a lot of learning around food photography,
Right.
product,
Yes.
still life, and
Exactly.
all that. So I think just to keep occupied, even when you cannot do your regular stuff, you might as well do it. So there's nothing right and wrong,
Absolutely.
but I think for all those people who have not yet followed Ranjit's work, he will mention it towards the end, but I want to let you know that his landscape pictures are just outstanding. Especially the US portions that he has shot, and the Himalayas and all that. So you will be bowled over when you look at his work. So you should definitely follow him. He will let you know a little later as to where to follow. But my personal recommendation that you should definitely look at his work.
You are too generous to say that, Mithun.
No, I'm
But
not.
one,
I'm not.
one, yeah, one thing is that I have been very choosy. I mean, I would like to give the true credit to the selections of the landscape. I put immense amount of efforts in choosing what I shoot.
Which is good. But I think you're trying to be humble by saying you are not. But I think, like I said, people will decide when they look at your work.
Absolutely.
I'm sure,
Sure.
because
Sure.
when the first time when I looked at it, it was hard to believe. Some of them, although we have seen it multiple times in different forums, but the one specifically that you shot were outstanding. Great.
Humbled,
Uh,
humbled by your compliment. Thank you.
no, I mean, we are humbled to hear you, Ranjit. So next, just want to understand, so what inspires you to keep pursuing in photography despite of your, busy schedules and, stuff?
Um, well, one thing is the what say the variations available out there in the nature. As I said, from the magnificent mountains to the pristine lakes that you can see, the forest, the woodland, sometimes opportunity or creative opportunity to see abstracts in the landscapes, right? So those are definitely, I would say, it would take multiple lifetimes to feel fulfilled or content with what one has seen and one has shot, especially in the landscape photography. There is also the element of that unknown, and that unknown, of course, at times can be very disappointing. I have faced multiple disappointments in series as such, per se. But then what really still inspires you to wake up early in the morning and go out to see a sunrise is some of those moments once you have seen, you can't get out of that, magical feeling in terms of what you have seen there. So that is what always inspires. So at times, even if my 100% intention may not be photography, it is still that I would like to go out there and experience that, let's say, spiritual experience that for some of the landscape photographer they feel. I do feel out there. So that's what actually inspires me most.
Right, and I think it is also true that people who go high into Himalayas, naturally, physically, you need to be extremely fit. Mentally, you need to be extremely fit.
Right.
Not just Himalayas, but any of these high altitude
Oh yeah,
places.
yeah, yeah. Right. Right.
For example, I had gone to Sikkim and specifically to Gurudongmar Lake,
Good. Yeah. Right.
2 years back.
Right.
Which
Right.
is at the similar altitude as Leh or a Ladakh,
Right.
especially the higher mountains, and it was
Right.
so difficult, so
Right.
for a normal person to stay there for even 15 minutes was so difficult. I can only imagine, how those Sherpas and, all the people
Oh,
who
yeah.
come with you, how
Right.
physically they are fit, and mentally is, I think, more important. Physically you can be fit, but I think you touched on a very important point, Ranjit, because these are places which are unknowns. It may be known from a perspective of trekking, guiding, and
Right.
all that,
Right.
but then
Right.
the situations, the weather changes drastically, so you
Oh,
have to
yes.
understand how to manage. So it's not just the disappointment of not catching a sunset or a sunrise, but also the fact that you have to be aware of a lot of things, to come back safe. So I
That's
think,
true. And I had my own some hard lessons as well. I can tell you, for example, one of the national parks that I was shooting in US, it was predicted to be a stormy day, a snowstorm. And that is what I wanted to shoot, the gloomy, stormy kind of landscapes. And I was in the mountains. So that it seemed a great opportunity. And I woke up for the sunrise, and I thought, if there is that magical light that can happen, that happens once in a while, right? It happens particularly in the storms. So I went out there, and I was out there for 2 hours. Of course, I did not get some magnificent sunrise. I got extremely good storm frames. But then the cold out there was so severe, I actually lost voice for 2 days. and,
oh,
and it was a hard lesson that it is not only that you have to be prepared for good times. You have to be absolutely prepared for the stormy times as well. So
yeah, I think that's very critical. I agree with you. Also wanted to know, I know everybody loves appreciation, but how do you feel when your work is viewed and appreciated by a larger audience?
yeah, I have been always a bit socially shy that way, and social media has not been my typical. You say I have not been active per se much on that. At least I never had Facebook account before I started sharing some of my work on Facebook. But then what I have realized when I started, and I started particularly from learning opportunities that Facebook groups offer, or travel tips or information that it was available, which is immensely helpful anyway. I realized that it is really not that bad. Especially, I keep my typical Facebook participation or Insta just for the photography sake, and it has been very helpful learning in terms of what I share, what feedback I get, and compliments are very, very encouraging. So that plays some role. While everyone, including many of the photographers that I particularly follow in landscape photography, says that we shoot for our own pleasure and our own happiness and our own creativity. But it is encouraged, and it's largely encouraging to see folks out there actually sharing their compliments and appreciating your work. So it has been good experience for me.
Right, and I think it not only for you, but a lot of people get inspired as well. So I think if we can be a source of inspiration for some people, especially aspiring photographers, I
Sure.
think there's nothing like it. So why not?
Right,
In
right.
return, if you get a barter system deal of getting appreciated, I think you should take it. You should
Sure.
not shy. And so gone were the days, Ranjit, when we used to say, I'm an introvert, I can't speak. So today we see
Mhm.
that with the new normal, in last
Mhm.
6 months, we are forced to be on
Oh yeah, yeah.
webinars. We are forced to be
Right,
on
right, right.
conferences, show our face, which only used to be over phone or in person.
Right,
So a lot of
right,
things have
right.
changed. So
Yes, yes.
I think
Yeah.
that's how the world moves.
Right.
Great. So tell us, Ranjit, about how often do you get to practice landscape photography as such? Do you really set some time out of your busy schedules, or is it that you feel stressed out one day? Because I know you are an IT professional. Too much into busy with releases and a lot of things, that deadlines and all that stuff that we
Sure.
each one of us go through. So do you just plan, or do you just pick up the camera one day and say, to get hell with it, let me just now go and shoot, let me go somewhere, kind of
No,
stuff.
I'm typically proactive about that day not coming in my life, that where I feel too frustrated. So and of course I'm more of a or planning kind of person. I plan my year ahead of time, sometimes year and a half actually. That helps me to find out what leaves I can take, what locations. So it really starts from the list that I maintain, what locations I must visit, then in what time of the year, how many leaves I have, and then how I spread that with some of my solo photography or trekking trips versus family trips. Most of my family trips, so typically 4 to 5 times a year is what I shoot, right? So at least 2 trips would be combined with families, and then others are typically trek or solo photography tours. So I generally plan that ahead of the time, and it helps me to take a breather from the busy schedule, to just go out there, enjoy nature, have some peace, and then come back and then just live the routine life as most of us do, right? So 4 5, now it might feel 4 5 trips a year too much of a stretch, but I have been able to manage that with the kind of holidays, spread out the leaves, um, how one can do. So it has been effective for last 4 5 years for sure.
Wonderful. So how about do you have you received any awards or achievements in the landscape photography? If yes, can you share some of them with us?
Sure. Not per se awards as such. I have my work was published last year in Smart Photography. I was very excited to see that. It had some frames which one of my most favorites as well. And I was approached to see whether that work can be published, and I was comfortable with that. So that was a good outcome of some of the efforts that I was putting in. As well as some of the work has been displayed at a few exhibitions that I participate over years. So.
Wonderful. So I think we would definitely love to see one day that you host your own solo exhibition, Ranjit.
You have been saying that, but I feel I have to reach there, maybe a few more years, and I will reach there.
Yeah, so you have a good collection, so I think you should start
Thank you.
somewhere,
Thank you.
and then
Thank you.
you will ultimately reach,
Sure.
like they say, the pinnacle of success, like the Himalayas, that kind of stuff.
Sure. Sure.
Great. So how about, are you part of any photography communities, any organization, any clubs,
Okay.
Ranjit?
No, I have not been. I have been part of many Facebook groups, and I have been blessed to be part of some of the brilliant photographers, landscape photographers across the world, many from India as well. So I'm part of some of those communities, virtual communities, let me put that way. Um, I've One of my close friend recommended me YPS as a good association or club to join in. I probably will be joining soon. But yeah, other than that, not really particularly part of any associations.
Wonderful. Great. So how about when you put your work, I'm sure you do receive a lot of critics for your work, for your landscape photography that you put. How do you handle all those critics? And I think the also a very critical question that most of the people, especially the aspiring photographers, want to know is, so the moment they get in to start doing photography, it's very difficult for them to handle critics, because everybody loves appreciation, like we said. But specifically, how do you handle critics, and do you have any tips on that for our people?
Sure. That's very tricky question. What so far how it has been my thought process, and what I firmly believe is criticism is really, or the constructive feedback is really essential foundation in one's learning. It has been my learning for sure. From where I started, and most of the journey has been self-learning. Um, so whenever I used to share work, I used to get some constructive feedback. That's what I used to see, and that helped me growing, learning into things. I can pick up some of the examples where someone would say, "You should have probably shot, from the right side, from the left side." So different point of view, different angles, different compositions. Now that actually helps me to understand different visualization techniques, different thought processes, that not restricted to what comes to naturally in my mind, but to also understand how other people have been seeing it. And I have attempted some of them, and I have seen improvement. So I'm thankful to all that constructive feedback I received. Thankfully, again, I have been closely associated with some of the talented photographers who don't hesitate to tell me that, my work needs to get improved, and I take that with positive spirit and invest my time. And I don't get most of the times just point blank criticism. I get with suggestions, so that definitely helps, right? Instead of someone saying that your picture is crap, which might be the true in my case as well, but if someone says instead, uh, this is the probably the angle with which you could have taken, or you could have cropped your picture for a better composition aspect, it definitely helps. So I have been getting that kind of feedback throughout, which is helpful. Of course, sometimes just because you have got feedback and different suggestion does not necessarily mean, because it's ultimately artistic expressions, and different, each of us have different viewpoints. I mean, I have been part of some of the photography shoots along with other landscape photographers, much talented photographers. They have different point of view how to compose a frame, and I have different point of view how to compose a frame. Now we can learn from each other, influence each other, but ultimately what I feel should be part of my frame, it's really my personal choice and my freedom of artistic expression. So I take what I feel can improve my composition, can improve my techniques, my photography. But then I also feel very comfortable to keep aside some of the suggestions that are not fitting into my visualization aspect of it. So that's perfectly fine. Similarly for post processing also, how I post process a same frame, I'm sure you would have seen many times online contests, right? For a given frame, 2000 people would post process, and each of them would actually bring different aspect of how that post processing will happen. Now nothing right and wrong, it is just a different individualistic choice. So I again, for post processing, if someone says that it is too dull, your frame is looking, does not mean that I will just end up increasing the saturation or making it punchy. If I believe that certain mountainscapes deserve to be little dark and gloomy, which was the true what I have seen there or I had envisioned there, I would just keep it there. So take what you feel would improve, and be comfortable leaving aside few of the things that may not be working for you. Now there is another kind of criticism I used to get a little irritated, if I could say that. For example, some of the people would say, I remember a couple of frames very distinctly whenever I used to share on Facebook, and this is across the globe. Someone would say, "Oh, that person you added, it's magnificent frame, but that addition, I'm not sure that's ethical or not." And like, I did not add. That person was really, really there. Now, of course, earlier times I used to get a little irritated. Now I take it as a compliment because. Frankly speaking, it means that you have nailed a shot right in the camera. Same thing, if sometimes if I hear that these are two vibrant colors of sunset that you have captured, must be Photoshop or high dosage of saturation. And at times I have actually showed a couple of people the raw files and said that, see, it is right out there. And frankly speaking, I have not even done justice bringing out most of those colors because I felt they would be too punchy for human eyes. So I've kept it what it typically digestible. But so I think and nowadays I have just learned to take some of these things as a compliment.
And I think there's, like you rightly said, there's nothing right and wrong, because even if you approach a lot of competitions, salons, and a lot of areas, it all depends on who is looking at it. So some places
Right,
for
right.
the
Yeah.
same picture you might get an award. Some places
Oh,
you
yeah. Yeah.
would not even, because it all also depends on how many entries you have come. Because today's
Right.
age, if you see, there are so many talented
Oh, yeah. That's true.
photographers.
Very.
I agree with you. That some people do get overboard with colors and saturation and other aspects. But again, I think we leave it to their creativity, their thinking, kind
Exactly.
of stuff.
Correct. Correct.
So there's
Correct.
nothing right and wrong.
Correct. Correct.
Unless of course you be unethical and manipulate things, and those are definitely in the nature and landscape not allowed,
Right.
and should not be done as well, even in
Correct.
wildlife, for that
Correct.
matter. So
That's
I
true.
think
That's true.
as long as you are within those boundaries, I think it's okay. It's perfectly fine.
I agree. I
You're
agree.
right.
Right.
Great. So since you are from technology, I am from technology. We all
Mm-hmm.
know how much is the digital world today blooming. So what do you think is, the scope of this technology aspects, especially the AI and a lot of these things into photography? Whether just to clarify, whether it is equipments, whether it is software that we use for post processing, or any supporting accessories or anything.
Right. See, for everything, there is always, the way I see personally, is always a pros and cons, right? So I would start with something that I feel is a positive about it. Um, Digital world, I mean, from creation to learning to sharing, everything has transformed from, at least when I started. I remember old days when I used to travel. The film SLRs used to be pretty expensive. Developing those films used to be a pretty cumbersome process. So starting on the digital SLR has been a boon, at least for me. When I want to learn right there and then there in the field, to get a feedback and then capture much better than what it could be, which otherwise would have been come back home, develop the film, and then understand what series of mistakes you have committed, and many times it would be very difficult to go back to the same location again and experience the same conditions as well, which are typically rare as well. So that way it has been a great beneficial for many of the photographers to realize their dream with the DSLR, which are much more affordable with the technology that it comes with. So that's one aspect. I always believed post-processing is part of the whole development process, right? If we have to bake a cookie, then of course you have to prepare a dough that has all the ingredients, and then you need to bake it and then garnish it with whatever is needed to make it look like your whatever envisioned product is, right? Of course, as you said earlier, some people go overboard. Some have lack experience, which again I have. I'm not very good at post processing, by the way. I will confess that, but it is a learning process, and I believe all of us needs to invest that to transform what was captured in the field to realistically to what it was seen by your mind at that point of time. So post processing is an essential part, and I use some of the typical known tools to realize that vision as well. So I see that within, so far we are in the ethical limits. I think that's a great enabler as well. Another digital stuff of social media, Insta, Facebook, many other photography groups where you can participate, you can learn from others' work, you can get feedback, which I believe again the digital world has enabled. That I've been personally beneficial of YouTube. I always call the world's greatest learning university. Immense amount of knowledge treasure is out there for anyone who wants to learn anything, not just photography alone. So those are lots of beneficial aspects of the digital world. Now, where it gets a little bit on the other side of the world, where I would start seeing as a con or feel concerned is, I have seen some of these new post-processing tools or some of the softwares which can really add the sky, add the sun rays. I mean, you name it, and then I think things are available at your disposal. Frankly speaking, again, nothing right and wrong, as we probably both align. It's artistic expressions. You can cook anything from anything. So far, you can actually, call that out. You can make composite of maybe 10 different images and make a wonderful art out of it. But then that's an art, right? That's not a landscape photography, in my definition, at least. So all that stuff really discourages maybe I wouldn't call as a purist, but the landscape photographers who have started photography for the love of the or the passion of the landscapes and natures, right? If you can create all that right sitting at your study room to create amazing landscapes, then where is that desire and thirst to go out there in the landscapes and experience disappointments, but as well as experience the magical moments that happen, which is not possible. So I feel very discouraged to see such software being out there who changes the whole paradigm of what I would typically call as a landscape photography. So goods and bads, like everything in life.
Absolutely. And I think what you mentioned about post processing, let me tell you that you were saying that you are a little not so good in post processing, but let me tell you the pictures that you take, Ranjit. Nature themselves does so much of post processing that
Exactly.
you don't need to do any more on top
Exactly.
of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my post processing has been very limited to what camera is not capable of bringing out a detail to that level, right? But beyond that, frankly speaking, as you rightly said, the very reason I, as a landscape photographer, go out there in the wild and want to shoot something is because nature has been that magnificent.
Right.
It is just the portrayal of what you have seen to the viewer and for your own memory, reflecting back what you saw. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So, what are your future plans, Ranjit, with respect to photography, and how do you plan to achieve them?
I mostly it is landscape photography that I will continue to expand my, let's say, experiences. Himalayas is something, I mean, again, you can go 100 times and still you feel that you have not seen enough. So I would continue to look from that perspective. For last 2 years, in my earlier travels, I have traveled extensively in US national parks, which are very beautiful landscapes, by the way. But as I said, recently my focus primarily has been to the Himalayas. Just this year, um, three trips in the first 6 months itself. That was the kind of commitment I was planning for Himalayas, and that would continue. I have a long list of locations which I want to scout and photograph and share back with all my friends. Another thing that I wanted to invest my time and explore more is I started about last year on the astrophotography, which is another a blissful experience one can have out there. So I would like to expand my techniques knowledge to um, capture some of the astrophotographies. Uh, I have done very occasionally, but this would be the focus investments that I would be doing. And I feel once in a while tempted to do drone photography because the kind of viewpoint you get from above the whole landscape, right, terrain, is unparalleled too. So that is another thing, but it's too much to carry all those equipments into the remote location and then shoot everything together. So I have to prioritize what I can take and what I can shoot. But this is what my plan is. Most of it would be Himalayas, and then I have few foreign locations which again are pretty pristine. Some of them are famous, so maybe overdose of social media that you would have seen. But I want to experience that firsthand myself. So some of
Wonderful.
those locations are also in the target.
Wonderful. I hope that happens soon, Ranjit.
Uh, Thank you.
Great. So, how about do you publish your work on social media platforms, Ranjit?
Mhm.
If yes, can you list down where all do you post them? And maybe for the benefit of our listeners, maybe you can give them your handles where they can follow you.
Sure.
And I think a very very critical sub question to this also is now that everybody feels social media platform is the way to go, but then
Mhm.
is it required to highlight anybody's work in photography onto these platforms? If yes, then how do they go about?
Right. So I'll start with the first one. Yes, I do publish my work whenever I get time out of busy schedule on both Facebook as well as Insta. Um, I'm not much active on Flickr, but I on both the social media platforms, Ranjit Jadhav Photography are the handles that I publish my work at. So I would be really blessed if some of you actually can join me there and share your viewpoints on the work that I share there, right? So that is one. Second thing, yes, absolutely. I think I mentioned earlier that um, being a little bit socially shy or disconnected also, it was a bit of a tentative journey when I started on Facebook and Insta, but it has been a great journey, and I believe there is a lot of value in highlighting one's work, sharing it, as well as
Right.
from both as a partly in the satisfaction or sense of achievement, and secondly to get a constructive feedback inputs different viewpoints, which has been my motto for the sharing some of the work as well. Now, providing whether that is an inspiration for other people or not, definitely I think that at least some of the photographers that I follow, they have definitely inspired me to explore some of the locations. So that definitely acts as well. So it's a great media. I strongly recommend one to explore. Now it has little bit some of the nagging issues that can be there, like anywhere else as well. So far, you can handle them. I see more positive than negatives on that front.
And I think you touched on a very important point, Ranjit, because like I was saying sometime back, getting inspired and inspiring people has to be one of the key points of anybody's photography as well, because there are a lot of people, you know, in this world, in this country that, they don't even get an opportunity to go,
Oh, yeah.
or even if they go as a tourist and, just hop on between places without understanding the diversity of the place or the geographical importance of the place, irrespective of the type of photography that you do. So a lot of people, especially you remember that I did 2 solo exhibitions last year.
Yes, yes.
So a lot of people were surprised. Some of them even came with an emotional connect, saying, "Oh, you know what? I was to the same place in Sikkim 20 years back. So you brought in some nostalgic memories."
Right.
So I think that's so good to hear. As a photographer, then winning any awards, because
That's
that
true.
that helps you to believe that look at the connect. So I was able to successfully connect some people with their memories, kind of stuff, and stories I think are very important. So I think as long
Right.
as we put it into the right spirit, competition is good, but then it has to be healthy competition.
That's
So
true.
I think
That's true.
you touched on a very critical point, that it is definitely required, and
Right.
you should always look at the positives as to how it helps you, how it helps others,
Right.
rather than the only other negatives that you find. So
Right.
there's no perfect
Right.
system, like we say.
Correct. Correct. One good point you mentioned that actually just recollected or refreshed my memory. One of the exhibition that I was part of, and I was showing my Kashmir Great Lakes and the Himalayas around that kind of frames to someone from my earlier expeditions or treks, and there are a couple of people, fellow photographers and very talented, but when they looked at some of these frames and said, is this Switzerland? And I said, no, this is Kashmir. They said, oh, really? I knew that Kashmir is beautiful, but not this beautiful. And like, oh, no, this is nothing. Frankly speaking, you should see some of the other frames and other aspects of the landscape. And I showed more. And the kind of excitement that I saw there, they said, man, Canadian Rockies are, I mean, again, those are beautiful places, by the way. So no disregard or disrespect to those landscapes, probably heavenly landscapes, right? But then many folks said, we have these kind of landscapes right at our backyard and we are not even aware. So, and such feedback, such excitement, right? Actually, and of course, my own passion about the Himalayas as well is what actually inspired me to keep continuing visiting Himalayas as well, to share with the community that what kind of landscapes we have right here in India.
Right. Wonderful. I think once, like I said, so for benefit of everyone, Ranjit's Instagram handle is Ranjit Jadhav Photography, and Ranjit has there's no H in his Ranjit, so please don't follow somebody else. So maybe we'll share it across for benefit
Sure,
of everyone, Ranjit.
sure.
So one last question, Ranjit. So have you heard about Honeycomb Creative Support, specifically Photostop, which is the printing brand of Honeycomb? And have you printed with Honeycomb? What have your experiences been, or have you heard about it from any of your friends?
Yes, I do, and I have been a very happy customer of Photostop. So just to give you a bit of background, right? So about 2 years, 2.5 years back, I needed to print something professionally here in India. So I do once in a while sale or gift of my landscape photography work, and I really want to print with a high quality. So I was actually talking to a couple of my photographer friends, trying to find out what is a reliable and high quality place that I can actually get, and many of the folks actually recommended this place. So I did couple of print jobs then, and from then I think in fact some of the printing I used to do in US actually earlier. I do all my printings right now with them. I have been very happy. Great team there, very friendly, very supportive, taking care of all the printing needs. I mean, starting from deciding what media I should use for a given type of landscape. I mean, sometimes it's a vibrant color, sometimes it's a muted. So depending on what kind of texture that paper offers, right? I have been getting like detailed help. So very happy, and I mean, with quality, with the pricing, everything. The best part is very great people actually out there. So every time I get a chance to interact, it's a positive experience. So when I was approached for this, I was like, yeah, I know these great guys. I'm really happy. So that's how actually I agreed for this initiative, with knowing you, of course, and then knowing Honeycomb as well. So lots of, as well as a lot of great initiatives. By the way, I think year and a half back there had been this photography, various genres of photography sessions, right?
Right.
Available right at that location, and I have been benefited by multiple sessions out there, which was another great thought to bring everyone together and expand the overall community. It was great.
Absolutely, and I think I agree with your comments as well. Because I myself have been a customer of Honeycomb for
Right.
nearly 5+ years. My exhibition, everything was done with the assistance of Honeycomb, and I think what is critical in this industry is subject matter expertise.
Right.
You will have a lot of people who can print for you, but I think putting heart into the soul and getting to know the right media, like you rightly said, and
Right.
what will look good on which medium
Correct.
is very
Correct.
critical.
Right.
So I think that's, I think, the USP as well. So I think
Yep.
that's
Absolutely.
wonderful to hear, Ranjit. So before we let you go, Ranjit,
Sure.
we know that you are going to do a quick webinar for us on landscape photography. So do you want to talk about it, Ranjit?
Sure. So my webinar would be on 17th August at 7 p.m. And I'll be able to share my humble work so far on the journey, starting from the defining moment that I mentioned about it earlier, till date into Himalayas and different parts of US national parks, less known kind of stuff. So I will share learning and experience throughout my journey, some practical tips, what I have learned, sometimes hard lessons as well, as what made me a better landscape photographer from the time I started my journey. So I'll be very excited to see you guys there. And
Yeah, we are
surely.
excited to host you as well, Ranjit. And for benefit of everyone, please do tune in, hear Ranjit speak, show his work. I think I can 200% guarantee that you will be bowled over, like he said. And I think the experience sharing, the tips and tricks is going to be the most important aspect of this webinar too. So thank you very much, Ranjit, and we hope to see you on 17th. And have a great day. Bye bye.
Thank you, Mithun. Have a great day to you too.